This is a match factory in the east of London, and the year is 1888. The matches are cheap because a girl's jaw is cheaper than the phosphorus, and the phosphorus is cheaper than a law. You are the girl, you are 13, and today you take the place your mother kept warm. This is Bow, in the east of London. Brick without end, and the smoke of it laid flat across the roofs like a lid on a pot that is never taken off. You share one room with your mother and your brother Tom, who is 9, and with the memory of your father, who coughed himself to nothing 2 winters back and left the 3 of you to the matches. Your mother has dipped matches for 11 years, her hands are quick and sure, and she can light the home lamp with a single match in the dark and never waste the second one. At home, the making of light is hers, remember that. They are going to try to take it from her, and they will not know that it was the only thing she owned. Tom is not yet strong enough for the works. He waits at home and minds the fire, and his job, though no one has said it aloud, is to still be a child, for as long as the 3 of you can afford one between you. The bench. The works swallow 1,400 of you every morning and give you back at night, a little less each time. You stand at a bench for 14 hours. There are no chairs. There were never any chairs. The floor is where your feet stay until the floor is the last thing you feel. The foreman walks the aisles with a book, and in the book are your names, and beside each name a running total of what you owe the firm for the crime of working for it. 3p for talking, 3p for a dropped tray, 3p for feet the foreman decides are dirty, a shilling for a burnt frame. You earn 4 shillings in a good week, and from 4 shillings they take back whatever they please, and it is always something. You learn the first law of the place in your first week. The firm does not sell matches. The firm sells the difference between what a girl costs and what a girl can bear, and it has found, after careful study, that the difference is very large, and that a girl can bear almost anything, for almost nothing, for almost as long as it needs her to. The dip room. Your mother does not work the benches, she works the dip room, at the far end where the door is kept shut. The dip room pays a penny more an hour, and there is a reason for the penny, and the reason is what the penny is for. Inside, men and women dip the frames of matches into a warm paste of white phosphorus over and over, in a heat that never lets up and an air you can taste. It smells of garlic. Everyone who has worked it says the same thing. At first the smell is the worst of it. At first. The phosphorus does not stay in the vat, it rises, it settles. It gets into the timber and the aprons and the hair and the food you carry in, and it gets into you quietly by the only door the body cannot bar, which is breathing. Or the glow. You know the dip room workers on the walk home in the dark, because in the dark they glow. A faint cold green light on the hands, along the jaw, in the hair. Your mother glows. The first time you saw it you thought it was beautiful. You were a child. You are the one who has to stop thinking it is beautiful, because your mother cannot afford to. You eat your supper by a fire, and your mother's fingers glow faintly around the bread, and no one in the room says the thing that everyone in the room knows, which is that a light that comes off a living person is a light that is eating her to make itself. The toothache. It starts, as it always starts, as a toothache. Your mother presses the back of her hand to her jaw at the bench and works through it, because a day not worked is a day not paid, and there is Tom, and there is you, and there is rent, and a toothache has never yet paid rent for anybody. She holds a rag to it at night. She stops eating on that side, and then she stops eating much at all, and she tells you it is nothing, in the particular voice a mother uses for the things that are the opposite of nothing, and you let her, because you are 13 and you want, more than you have ever wanted anything, for it to be nothing. The jaw. This is phossy jaw. The phosphorus rots the bone of the jaw from the inside, slowly, over months, and the firm knows it does and has known for 40 years, and keeps the dip room because the dip room is cheaper than not having one. At night, in the dark, her jaw glows, not the soft green of her hands. A hard, wrong, greenish-white light along the bone of her face, from the inside, the way a lamp shows the shape of its own frame. You have seen your mother make light your whole life. You did not know it would come to this, that the last light she makes would be her own jaw, showing you exactly where it is dying. The smell comes next, and there is no kind way to say what it is, so we will say only that it is the smell of a person who is still alive, and that it does not leave the room, and that Tom, who is 9, learns not to flinch, which is a thing no 9-year-old should have to be good at. The parish surgeon comes once and looks, and does the sum every surgeon of the age does at a dip-room door. He can take the jaw, most of it, with a saw and no mercy and small odds, or he can leave it, and leave her what is left of her face and the same small odds. He tells you the odds are the same either way. He is telling you there is nothing he is for. He goes. He does not charge you, which is the only kindness in it, and it is not one. The strike. And then, that July, the thing no one thought girls could do, girls do. A writer comes to the gates and asks the questions no one has bothered to ask, and prints the answers, and the firm, insulted, tries to make the girls sign a paper calling it all lies. The girls will not sign. 1,400 of them put down the frames and walk out into the light they are usually too tired to see. You walk out with them. You are 14 now. You have never in your life done a thing the firm did not order, and you do this one, and the doing of it goes off in your chest like a strut match, small and sudden and warm and entirely your own. And they win. In 3 weeks they win most of it, the fines and the worst of it, and it is real, and it is the first time you understand that the total in the foreman's book was never a law of nature, but only a thing that a great many tired people had agreed, until now, not to argue. It is the best thing that will happen in these years. It comes 3 months too late for your mother, and both of those things are true at once, and you will spend your life holding them. And they do a thing that outlasts the win. They form a union, women, girls, the unskilled, the ones told all their lives they were nobody and unorganizable, the largest of its kind in the country, and it holds. You put your name to it. Your name, which the firm kept only as a running total of what you owed, is now on a thing the firm cannot fine. You are 14, and you have just learned that a name can be a weapon if enough of them are laid down in the same place. The sum. She never appears in a single account of the firm as a woman or a mother or a jaw. She appears, if at all, as the cost of goods. A gross of matches sells for a few pennies. They travel from your mother's dip room out into the country, into 1,000 warm parlours a whole world away from Bow, where the smoke never lies flat and no one has ever glowed in the dark. Where a comfortable man you will never meet takes one from the box without looking, strikes it on the grate, holds it to his pipe and shakes it out, and drops it, spent, into the fire and settles into his evening, and finds it, on the whole, a good one. Your mother's jaw and that man's easy evening are the same account. That is not a figure of speech, it is the bookkeeping. And we will not mention it again, because you do not owe the world its sums. The world owes you your mother, and it is going to strike its light off her and drop her in the grate and settle into its evening just the same. Your mother. She goes in the autumn, of the poisoning that runs from the bone into the blood, in the room with the low fire, with your hand in her quick, sure ruined hand, and Tom pretending to be asleep because he cannot watch and cannot leave. At the very end she cannot speak, because of the jaw, so she does the last thing she has left. She takes your hand and she guides it, in the dark, to the lamp, and she makes you strike the match and light it yourself. She spends her last strength teaching you the one thing she always meant to leave you. The making of light is yours now. Keep it. After. White phosphorus in matches is not banned in Britain for another 20 years. The dip room keeps its doors shut and its penny an hour and its glow the whole time, because the strike won the fines and not the phosphorus, and the phosphorus was always the part that killed. And here is the part that should undo you. There was another match. Red phosphorus, the safety match, harmless, patented, on the market for 40 years. It cost a farthing more the gross and would not strike on a boot heel. And for those two small sins the firm passed it by every year for 4 decades, and kept the white phosphorus that was eating your mother's face. They had the harmless match the entire time. It sat in a drawer, costed and rejected, because a farthing, a gross across the whole of England, came to more than a jaw. They made that choice the morning your mother started and the morning she died, and every single morning in between, and not one of those mornings was the phosphorus a mistake. It was a purchase. You live. You marry out of the trade barely, and you keep your jaw and your face and the particular knowledge of exactly what they were worth to the firm, which is to say, less than the penny an hour it cost to poison your mother to save on a law. But every night of your life, in your own home, you are the one who makes the light. You strike the one match in the dark, and you never waste the second. And for the length of that small flame your mother is in the room, quick and sure, making light out of the very thing they used to eat her, and they never got that. They costed everything else. They never found the price of that because you never once put it up for sale. This was one match, one mother, one factory. History kept her as a number in a ledger, we give her back as a person. There are thousands more where she came from, and we're working through them, one real life at a time. Subscribe, and no one on that whole line gets forgotten twice.